Your audio is off.
Regional City Council meeting is now in session. Today's date, Monday, August the 3rd, 2020. Please rise for your invocation. Pledge of allegiance. Father, we come tonight in prayer and ask you to give us the guidance and the strength to lead our committee. Give us the ambition and drive to help us see our mission through. Pray for those who are sick and afflicted. And pray for those who take care of us. All these things we ask in your name. Amen. I allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swing. Here. Booz.
Here.
Haven.
Here.
Winkle.
Here.
Here. Molesky.
Here.
DeVries.
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
Service Director.
Here.
Law Director.
Here.
Engineer.
Here.
Auditor. Here. Clerk of Council. Here.
Under minutes, we have the committee meeting of the whole meeting minutes of July the 20th, 2020. Are there any changes or corrections at this time? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. We also have the City Council meeting minutes of July the 20th, 2020. Are there any changes or corrections? Hearing none, those minutes are also approved. Please note that we also have the Board of Drainage and Flood Control meeting minutes of January 28th, 2020. We have the Board of Zoning and Building Appeals meeting minutes of July 23rd, 2020. We have the Civil Service Commission meeting minutes of July 21st, 2020. We have the Utilities Committee meeting minutes of July 20th, 2020. At this time, we'll go to our lobby session. As we've done previously in the past, we are asking residents to go to our website so they can join us by Zoom. As you will see tonight, we already have Councilman Winkle at home joining us by Zoom. And our clerk will go ahead then read your comments or questions, and Mayor or City Council will address those questions accordingly. At this time, I will pause and ask our clerk, are there any notes or requests from any citizens at this point?
We do have one email from Mr. Jim Smolik, an Avalon Drive resident. He states, I am in favor of the proposed roundabout at the intersection of Mills and Stony Ridge. As you are aware, the Route 83 roundabout has had a positive effect on traffic and severity level of accidents in that area, and it will do the same for this intersection. Plus, it is cheaper than the signalized intersection with dedicated left turns. I've studied roundabouts and toured many roundabouts in Central Ohio and Dunwood and Hilliard, and realized the benefits they provide to the motoring public, and Structure Point is the engineer leader in this area of design. The type of intersection, i.e. signalized roundabout or stop sign, will have no impact on the amount of traffic and speed along Avalon Drive. The only deterrent to this is police patrol and the movable radar signs. As a member of the Avalon Estates HOA, I have dealt with many complaints of the issue, and there is no simple answer. However, rejection of this proposed roundabout is not the solution. End email.
Thank you, Mr. Smoke, for your comments. Would any other members of the Mayor's administration or City Council like to address that at this time? All right, hearing none, I'll ask the clerk if there is anybody else waiting in the lobby session at this time.
Just 1 minute. There is no one in lobby at this time.
Okay, we're going to pause for about 30 seconds and wait to see if anybody else joins us to give our residents the opportunity to join in if they'd like. Again, if you are interested in how to go about joining the meeting, you can go to nridgeville.org and see the instructions on how to get involved through our Zoom app. Also, you may call the county clerk or the city clerk anytime and submit your comments ahead of time, and we will read them during the meeting, as Mr. Smollett just had us do. I think it is the longest 30 seconds of the meeting. Just waiting. Just saying. All right, at this time, is there anybody else waiting in the lobby session?
No comments at this time.
Very well, thank you. At this time, we'll move on to administrative reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On tonight's agenda, under second readings is T90-2020, an ordinance amending our Chapter 1286 signs. I'm going to move to dispense with the third reading and adopt with the emergency clause in order to meet the August 16th deadline on which our moratorium, which is currently in place on billboards, will expire. Our service department is currently finishing up paving on Dorchester and is also prepping Westminster to pave later this week. If you'd like to know any more information about the streets that remain, please visit our website at nridgeville.org. Happy to announce that SafeWise recently released its annual 100 Safest Cities in the US report, and North Ridgeville ranked number 17 in the nation as far as safety is concerned. To compile this report, SafeWise used the most recent FBI crime data along with the population data to analyze and rank the cities. To see the complete report and full list of cities, visit the city's website. I'd like to take this opportunity to commend our police force for ensuring the safety of our community and to our residents for being vigilant and helping out where we can't always be. And without your support, this recognition would not be possible. And finally, North Ridgeville Heart and Soul is supporting local farmers by offering fresh produce by the bag for $10. For information on how to place your order, visit the city's website. Pickup locations of the North Ridgeville Branch Library on Thursdays from 3 to 4 p.m. and Sandy Ridge Metro Park on Saturdays from 9 to 10. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Safety Service Director.
I know it's a long ways away, but I think it's only 88 days. Remember that when political signs go up in the city of North Ridgeville, they can only be 30 days ahead of time. Other townships and counties, or not counties, but other townships and cities have different rules. But here in North Ridgeville, make sure that you match up the size and that we don't get overzealous. And then I get all the phone calls and then we have to go down and pick them up. We don't throw them away. We take them to the service garage. And you can come and pick them up if you choose to do that. But after the election, we do hold them for a few days and then do dispose of them after that. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Engineer.
Thank you, Council President. Just a couple of quick items. Ranger Way should be finishing up within the next 2 weeks. There's a pour tomorrow for some miscellaneous pavement items. All the work has been done on Bainbridge. The only thing left is the striping on Bainbridge. A couple of miscellaneous sidewalk items. The path, asphalt path has been paved already as well. So that project is finishing up just in time for school start, even though we probably will be on a delayed schedule with schooling. Rock Point Circle and Gatestone Circle, the bid opening for that full depth project is tomorrow, 11 a.m. So we'll have the results of that and hopefully get that contract underway very soon. And Center Ridge Road project drives and sidewalks are being continued to be formed. The base has been prepared at State Road 83 in Center Ridge, if anybody's seen. Currently the signal subcontractor is installing conduits before the pavement goes down. So hopefully that pavement is in within the next week or two. And the only thing left pavement-wise would be the surface course over the entire area. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Auditor.
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to take a moment tonight to talk about the certification of the fiscal officer for purchases and what these certifications are used for. Section 117-2-02C2 of the Ohio Administrative Code states, purchase orders should be used to approve purchase commitments and to encumber funds against the applicable appropriation accounts as required by section 5705.41D of the Ohio Revised Code. Purchase orders are not effective unless the fiscal officer's certification is attached. The certificate should be attached at the time of the commitment to purchase goods or services. There are three types of certifications of the fiscal officer for purchasing. The standard certification certifies that the amount required to meet obligations or contract has been lawfully appropriated for such purpose and is in treasury or in the process of collection to the credit of the fund being utilized and free of encumbrance. The blanket and super blanket certification certifies that the amount required to meet the obligation or contract has been lawfully appropriated, authorized, or directed for such purpose and is in the treasury or in the process of collection to the credit of the specific line item appropriation in the fund and free of encumbrance. Lastly, the then and now certification certifies that both at the time of making the contract or order and at the date of execution of this certificate, the amount was appropriated for such contract or order and is in treasury or in the process of collection to the credit of the fund and free of any previous encumbrances. In speaking with the Auditor of State, the then and now certification was designed for situations where the purchase of goods and services occur prior to the certification of the fiscal officer. These situations may occur more often than you may think. For situations when a department is working on mitigating an emergency and will later supply the purchase order for the necessary good or service. This occurred recently at the service garage. When a lift holding a vehicle broke, the vehicle fell off the lift. In this situation, it was necessary for the department to attend to the employees and the emergency, to contact our insurer and follow up with the necessary documentation later. Another example would be multi-year agreements for items such as our generators or elevators. Because we only encumber current year appropriations for the services, at times we see the purchase order come through with an invoice attached to it. Lastly, we have vendors who often invoice us in advance. The invoice is received prior to the actual good or service taking place. These are acceptable uses of the then and now certification, as the certification of the fiscal officer for then and now does not intend to disrupt our normal course of business. During my 3 years with the city, while short, I can genuinely say I have not run across any department heads who look to circumvent the purchasing process, nor who spend beyond their appropriations. These folks understand the process and they are very diligent. However, as I provided in my examples, then and now situations do occur. Many department heads have come to me to express concern when then and now legislation is before council. They feel as if they're being called to the carpet for a wrongdoing or something that they should have done differently, and this makes them uncomfortable. The legislation before council last week, T91, was not intended to circumvent the legislative process as outlined in the Ohio Revised Code or take control away from council. Its intent was simply to simplify a process covered by Ohio Revised Code and audited annually. These purchases, as I've identified, must be appropriated in order for the fiscal officer to certify the expenditure. If the expenditure exceeds appropriation, the fiscal officer cannot lawfully sign the certification. Council would first see an appropriation amendment followed by legislation for then and now certification. And certainly in both instances, an explanation would be provided to council. Before council tonight is T93, a resolution authorizing the then and now certificate by the fiscal officer. This resolution is a little different than those you've seen in the past. Through my research of other entities, I realized that other entities use additional verbiage from the Ohio Revised Code, which I've added with that in thought. My goal here was to simply just achieve clarity, to give you more information. I also added an exhibit to the legislation, as other entities also do. I felt this would give council more information than has been given in previous times for your review. The expenditures on the exhibit have been paid. Many are from earlier this year. All of these have the then and now certification of the fiscal officer. Many are agreements, some spanning across multiple budget years. However, due to different interpretations of the Ohio Revised Code section, I felt it was necessary to bring these before council for review and approval to ensure we are all following the code and covering ourselves regardless to who may be interpreting it. As the law director continues his research, I'm hopeful we can clear up any questions still up for discussion on this topic. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Auditor, and thank you for the additional information. That will take us to other reports. We have the June 2020 Police Department report. On to council meeting reports. Clerk, could you please read the rate for us?
Committee of the Whole report dated July 20th, 2020, which recommends City Council consider T77 2020 as amended and T84 2020, T86 2020, T87 2020, and T88 2020 as submitted.
Are there any comments or questions at this time? Mr. Booth?
I'll make a motion to accept the committee report as presented.
Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Abrams to accept the report. Are there any comments or questions at this time? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
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 Opposed say no. Very good. We move on to new business. Clerk, could you read the next item under new business?
A request from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control for a new permit request for Century Tavern LLC, doing business as Century Tavern, 33312 Center Ridge Road.
President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
I'll make a motion to not request a hearing so that this permit can be sent to the state for final disposition by August 17th, 2020.
Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Winkle to go, was Molesky, sorry, Molesky, to go ahead and approve this so there would not be a hearing. Are there any comments or questions at this time? All in favor say yes. Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? The request has been granted. That moves us on to recess.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
I'll make a motion to dispense with recess.
Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Evans to dispense with the recess. All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? We'll dispense with recess. That will bring us to first readings. T93.
T93 2020, a resolution to authorize the execution of then and now certificates by the fiscal officer and the payment of amounts due by various purchase orders.
I will go ahead and make a motion then to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by Debris, seconded by Booth to dispense with the second and third readings. All in favor say yes.
No.
Yes.
You said no.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
No.
Booz,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Hung,
No.
Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
vote carries 5-2.
It's to dispense with second and third
to
reading.
dispense with second and third reading.
And from my understanding, this is something that would need to have the emergency, if I understand correctly.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, I'll need to also make a motion to add the emergency so that we can satisfy the requirements of the Ohio Revised Administrative Codes.
Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Avens to add the emergency clause to T93. On that clause itself, all in favor say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
No.
Booth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Hung. No. Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
emergency clause 5-2.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Avens to adopt T93 with the emergency clause in place. Are there any final comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Winkle.
I just like to say that this, just an explanation of that this T93 is for those specific invoices and POs that were issued on a done May, from what I understand, and that's I want to make sure that was clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winkle. Are there any other comments or questions at this time? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
No.
Booth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Hung. No. Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes. T94.
Mr. President,
Yes,
a
Mr. Booth.
resolution number from the clerk.
resolution 1496, 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you. T94.
T94, 2020, a resolution authorizing fund transfers.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Bruce.
make a motion to dispense with second, third readings. Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Molesky to dispense with the second and third readings. All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed?
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt. Mr. President, I make a motion to add the emergency so that these transfers can be made expeditiously so that the payments can be made from them.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Molesky to add the emergency clause to 294 for the reasons stated by Mr. Booth. All in favor say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? It was then moved by Booth, seconded by Molesky to adopt T94 with that emergency clause. Are there any final comments or questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Hung. Yes. Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
The resolution passes unanimously and becomes 1497, 2020.
We go to second readings. T90.
T90, 2020, an ordinance amending the NRCO Chapter 1286 signs.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to dispense with the third reading.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor, seconded by Hung to dispense with the third reading. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed?
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Booth.
Adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency so that we can meet the August 16th deadline for the, when our current legislation expires.
Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Hung to add the emergency clause to T90 for the reasons stated by Councilman Booth. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? It was then moved by Booth, seconded by Hung to adopt T90 with the emergency clause. Are there any final comments or questions at this time? Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Booz,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Hung, yes, Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance 5759, 2020.
T82. Didn't get one. I'm sorry, I'm behind there. I'm off pace here. Let's go to third readings and T79.
79, 2020, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract according to law and in a manner prescribed by law with a consulting engineering firm for an engineering plans and specific specification for a roundabout at the intersections of Mills Road, Stony Ridge Road, and Avalon Drive in an amount not to exceed $164,000.
President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
I move to adopt.
Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Avens to adopt T79. Are there any comments or questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Booz,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
No. Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
The motion carries 6-1 and becomes ordinance 5760, 2020.
T82.
T82, 2020, an ordinance amending the NRCO section 1294.01H fences.
President,
Yes, Mr. Avens.
move to adopt.
It was moved by Avens, seconded by Molesky to adopt T82. Are there any comments or questions at this time? Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Booz,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
yes. Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously and becomes 5661, 2020.
Point of order, that should be 57.
I'm sorry, 5761.
Thank you. The next city council meeting will be on Monday, August the 17th, 2020 at 7:30 right here at council chambers. Thank you for watching. This meeting's adjourned.